Okay, take 3. I am not at all sure what is going on this evening with Facebook or the internet or my internet or the phone. Holy mackerel. Okay, well, we'll try this again. So I had come on for a second time and my phone just completely closed out of Facebook. I have no idea why. There was no problem with the battery. The phone was still turned on. So weird. Okay. So, this is the card I'm doing this evening. It's using the Inspired Thoughts Stampin' Die Bundle. And this beautiful die that you see here is from that bundle. It's so pretty. Takes up a whole card front, so it makes a really nice background. And then I'm using the little tree cluster stamp right here for the inside and the envelope. And we're making a get well card today. It's nice to have a get well card or 2 or 3 on hand just in case you need one. And so we're going to make this one. It's simple but beautiful, and I love the gold ribbon here. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. And I thought with that gold ribbon, it really needs some gold embossing. So we're going to be doing our sentiment heat embossed with gold embossing powder, so it's very, very pretty. Okay, so we are using, let me just backtrack for a hot second. We are using Mossy Meadow cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4 to make the card base, and of course burnishing that down. We have a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock that I have already attached to the card from one of the previous 2 takes. This piece measures 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then you'll have 2 pieces of very vanilla cardstock that measure 5 1/4 by 4 inches. One of these will be for the front, one will be for the inside. Then I have a 3" by 1/2 inch strip of cherry cobbler cardstock for the background of our sentiment. And I have a 3/4 inch wide by a length strip of very vanilla that I'm going to be using for the sentiment. And I'm going to show you how to make it with the Lovely Labels punch. You can see there are 2 different ends that you can choose from, and there are multiple sizes for each one. These punches are absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to show you how I measure my paper, okay? So I have that. I'm using Mossy Meadow ink for that little cluster of trees, and of course Versamark and gold embossing powder for the sentiment. And I believe that's, oh yes, and I'm using champagne rhinestones for the little bling bling and embellishments that you see here. And this beautiful satin edged gold and vanilla ribbon is from the new holiday catalog. So it's absolutely gorgeous. And all right, so I think we're relatively caught up. Okay, so I have the Mossy Meadow base with the cherry cobbler layer on it. And then I have glued the die-cut Mossy Meadow trees onto the one layer of Very Vanilla, and I've tied that gold ribbon around it. So now we are caught up, and I think we're doing okay. I hope we're doing okay. If somebody's out there and can let me know, that would be wonderful. Otherwise, we're just going to keep plugging around. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and trim my ends here. Alright, so now that I have that, my little bow is beautiful. And this piece can go onto the front of the card. Alright, the show will go on, I think. Okay. I don't know if, I can't see if anyone's in here or not, but That's okay. I'm telling you, you know, technology is wonderful when it works, and when it doesn't, well, what do you do, right? Okay, just keep plugging along. Okay, now that I've got that layer on, and I love it. Okay, I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool, excuse me, and the smallest of the little champagne rhinestones. And I'm just going to put them kind of random. I like using the rule of odds. So 3, 5, 7, 9, and so forth. So I'm going to put 5 on here. There's 3. And 4. And one more. 5. Let's see. 5. That works. Okay. Now that I have those, I'm going to do that embossing part last because it's noisy. So I'm taking my vanilla cardstock and that tree cluster with the Mossy Meadow ink. And I'm just going to tap, 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 and then line it up and press it down. There we go. Very nice. And then my envelope, the same thing. Tap, 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 not smush, smush, smush. And line up the trees one last time. Very nice. Okay, now this part is done. And we can set it aside. There we go. Okay, now then, for the label. So each of these little grooves are a different size. So we've got a 1/2 inch size here. We have a 3/4 inch size here. And we have a 1 inch size at the top. And you're just going to cut your paper to the width of whichever you want. And you can see the little diagram up here on the top. Now, I'm not sure if it'll show up very well on the video. But your little diagrams up here on the top show dotted lines. And that gives you a good guesstimation of what the end is going to look like. So for the 1/2 inch piece, it'll be the inside dotted lines, so you'll have just that one little end. And then for the 3/4 inch piece, you'll go to the next set of lines, so you'll have kind of a little more decorative. And then the 1 inch piece will be all the way to the end, so you'll have even more of a decorative end. Okay, so we're gonna take this one, and now I did it on the right hand side for my sample, so I think I'll do it on the left hand side just to show you the difference between the two. Okay, now I like to make sure that when I've put it in here it's lined up pretty good, and keep this piece right here. Okay, that's gonna help us get an even keel on either side. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to bring in this fabulous embossing buddy, which is in the new holiday catalog. I was so excited to see it come back into the catalog, along with the embossing tray and some reverse tweezers and a little brush. I don't have that yet. These are actually from previous. I've had them for a long time. But I am so excited that they're back in stock now for anyone to order, because I was constantly being asked, where did you get that? Where did you get that? I need one of those. And yes, you do. Whenever you do embossing, these things are amazing tools to have. So grab those up from the catalog. All right. The embossing buddy will actually keep any powder from getting on your card that does not have Versamark on it. So the Versamark is like a clear, sticky gel type ink. It's very juicy and it stays wet for a minute. It gives you the opportunity to stamp whatever the image and then sprinkle the powder over it. The embossing buddy will keep the powder from sticking anywhere else. So it'll keep it from getting all of that icky, staticky, kind of embossing powder spray, so to speak. Alright, so I'm going to bring this a little closer and hopefully I'm still in view, but I want to be able to see without getting in the way. I think that's pretty close. Now I'm just going to stamp it straight down. You're going to stamp this the same way you do with any other regular ink stamp. You're just not going to see it very well. You can see it in person. You can see the little bit of shadow from it, but right now it looks like nothing to you, I expect. Alright, and then when I sprinkle the powder on and give it just a little tap, you can see that the powder has stuck only where the stamped image was done, or in this case, the stamped sentiment, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close that so I don't spill it. I have learned to do that right away. And set that aside. It's going to get loud for just a minute because I'm going to get the heat tool going here. I'm going to kind of hold it offside for just a few minutes here until, well, not a few minutes, but a few moments. Just until it gets hot. Alright, now this is really cool. So let me bring it over here so you can see. Now, I can go from the top and I can go from the bottom, and either way is fine. Trying to get at an angle where you might be able to see it, and I dare say that may not happen. Okay, here we go. Let me turn it this way. I'm right-handed, you know. Alright, here we go. See if you can see the change. There it goes. Isn't that neat? Very cool. Alright, and then I'm going to go from the bottom side for just a second to kind of flatten it out. There we go. Okay. Now, here is where that little piece that you punched out already comes into play. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up on the other side, and I see that that looks right about centered, okay? So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to snip it off, and that is how I make my label just the size I need, okay? Now I'm going to put it back in to the punch on the same side. I'm going to turn this upside down because, as you can see, it kind of sits, like I want to make sure that it's right at the edges even, okay? And then there we go. Isn't that neat? I love how that works. Alright, so now that I've got that done, I'm going to take my little strip here and I'm just going to snip the corners just a little bit. Okay, don't need that anymore. And then I'll add a little bit of adhesive right in the middle. I'm going to line this up. Well, I can't see when I do it that way. I'm going to try to line this up in the middle, but it is difficult to do when I can't see it. There we go. Alright, there we go. Now then, I need a few Stampin' Dimensionals. At least a couple of them here. Alright, and I need to slide this. You know what? I put my ribbon up just a little bit high, but that's okay, I think. Let me see how this looks. I think I'll do that. So you know what? When you do something like that, you can easily change it just a little bit. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. And there we go. I think that's good. All right, and there we have it. So take a look at that. I did it just a little bit different. I used a different end on the punch. So I've used the right hand side of the Lovely Labels punch on this one, and the left hand side of the Lovely Labels punch on that one. And this one I put just above the ribbon, this one I put just below the ribbon. So now I need to know from you, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the sentiment above the ribbon, or do you prefer the sentiment below the ribbon? Make sure you leave a comment down below, and you will be entered to win the card. Okay? So now, this is not all that the prize patrols are going to be. I have a whole handful of stuff in a box back here that I'm excited to give away to you guys. So be sure that you stay with me every day this week. Make sure that you engage in my posts. There's posts on Facebook, Instagram, Google Business, I believe also. Wherever you're seeing this from, leave a comment. If you're only on YouTube, that's fine as well. Leave the comment, and you'll be entered into the drawing. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie says she likes the one below the ribbon. Yes, that's very pretty. All right, friends, thank you all so much for hanging with me this evening. I'm so sorry for all of the crazy technology issues. Hopefully this video came through okay, and none of the crazy disconnect and garbled stuff. And yeah, so anyway, thank you very much. I hope you have a super, super fabulous evening. Make sure that you head over to my blog for the supply list and dimensions, and make sure that you keep up with my posts throughout the week to get entered into drawings for all sorts of prize patrol. Yay! I'm so excited. All right, friends, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.